What's up? Just the man I was looking for. Okay, bet. I want you to post your question for me again. Brother Williams, what's happening now? Want to thank you again, brother. Talked about you in the last video. But Michael Deline, I want you to just, paraphrase that question you put on one of the other videos about the question about the why. And then we're gonna talk about it for a minute here. In using any other question form instead of using why is detrimental. Okay, okay. All right. The question is using any other question form other than why detrimental? And this is what's happening, Candace? This is in reference to a video I did, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago. Okay, it says, does using how and what, basically, does that not work? Using how and what? Yes, it does work. Let me explain. Again, this is in reference to the video where I was talking about the importance of identifying your why. Okay? And the reason I titled this video the Cabalistic Why is because I want to try to give some framework to what I mean by the why question. The why question is the centerpiece of the Kabbalah. It's the centerpiece of your body. Okay, it's your spine. So that spear is referred to in one representation as reason. And it's usually referred to in Spanish form, which would be razón, which means reason. Now, coinciding with reason, we also have the word will. Okay? Will. So will coincides with reason. So this is what I came to a conclusion on. And I say I because I want to make sure that it's not represented as this is the gospel. This is my understanding for how I use it. That the why, if you've never, let's put it this way, if you've never in your life been to a point where you question, like, man, what's the point of all this? What's the point of me? What's the point of my existence, period? What's the point? If you've never gotten to a position where you've asked that question, then just keep on living. Keep on living. At some point, unless you are a complete zombie, you're going to have this question pop up of why. Why am I here? Why does any of this exist? Okay? So the ultimate why question is founded in the center of the tree of life, which again is called reason / will. So the very first question, and we're calling this the first because if I don't deal with that question first, what's up now, Erica? If I don't deal with that question first, why? Then everything else presents an opportunity for unnecessary injury. Let me give an example. When you're weight training, you want to always move any limb from the core outward. So the core meaning your centerpiece. The centerpiece would be, for your body, would be what we refer to as the solar plexus in mystical terms, because it's where the abdominal wall and the erectors work together to form a protection barrier around your spine. Okay? So even when you're moving your arm out to the side, either way, or your leg, and especially then if you apply weight to it, you are adding stress to the opposite side of your body because it's having to compensate. So the command center is always the middle. The middle is a command center. All of your most important things are in the middle of your body. That's the command center. So if you don't activate your core muscles first, which is your why, then everything else around it, which would be your whats, your hows, your whens, your wheres, all of those other things can represent improper biomechanics. That means you could be doing something and it looks like it's perfectly fine, and all of a sudden you have an injury because your biomechanics weren't correct. You didn't go through the proper chain of commands. See, with your body, it's called the central nervous system. Okay? Your brain sends down the message through your central nervous system. Your central nervous system sends the command out to whichever limb you want to move, and that's how it activates. Well, if you jump, it's just like trying to jump a circuit. If you try to bypass something, then you run the risk of overloading a circuit because you didn't go through the proper chain of command of communication. Hopefully this ain't breaking up. So starting from your core, which is where your spine is, which is where all of this information goes out, is going to give you a better opportunity to get the results that you want. Well, that is the center pillar of the Kabbalah, and it is something that's applicable to your everyday life, your spiritual life, your everyday life. It's everything. Everything is everything. So in everything I do, I want to start from my core muscle. I want to start with my why. So the question is, the question posed was, are the other questions detrimental? No, they're not. They're no more detrimental than using your arms to do a bicep curl. They're no more detrimental than using your legs to flex and extend to do a squat. But if you don't tighten your core muscles before you go down to do a squat, although your legs may seem perfectly fine, you'll come up and there's a chance that you can tweak your back. It can be from you. You might not even realize that your hips just do this. Just that slight motion right there can mess your back up. Because now that means if you got a heavy load on you, that means the load is improperly balanced. So something's going to have to bear a greater load than it was supposed to. And there comes an injury. Your whys, your whats, your hows, your whens, your wheres, those things represent the extremities of your body. They are important. They are needed. They have functions, important functions. But each one of them has to move from a command center to be considered proper movement. Your why question in anything you do is your command center. Your why, again, coincides with the reason and the will. The reason for this existence period is to strengthen the will. The will of who? Of God. Because you are God experiencing this reality. So for God to experience this reality, it has to become weak, relatively speaking. And that going against that weakness is to build the will. So then you take that and superimpose it over to anything you're involved in. I want to be the president of the company, or da da da, or, and I'm talking the most mundane things, or I want to astral travel. How do I do that? What does it consist of? Okay, that those are necessary, those, but here's the question: why? Why? Why do I want to be the president of the company? Why do I want to astral travel? And I'm just using those two just to kind of, as you know, try to present some polarities by in juxtaposing those two. But am I looking to escape? Am I looking to fulfill a void? Or have I figured out that, hey, if I get to this position, I'm using this as a stepping place or a stepping stone to get over here, and then I'm da 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 da. Are you playing chess? Or are you just willy-nilly going about doing things? See, the why keeps you grounded in whatever you do. And you can think at times that you know why you're doing something, but you go back and revisit your why. And I'm talking about from the mundane to the most magnificent. Go back and revisit it, and sometimes just in the matter of sleeping on something a little bit and read and contemplating, you will find yourself in a completely different world. You think you were one place, and you will find out that that world does not exist, or it is time for you just to travel from that world. Because the why is the business. It is the it. You know, like that movie It? It's the why. Okay. Something else I wanted to something else. I had another point. Dang it. I can't remember. Oh man. I kept on talking, the thought came up, and I kept on running my mouth. But I hope I'm making sense. So, Michael, you still on here? I don't know if that answered your question. I hope it did. But this is a brother that's a new subscriber and posted this question. Here's what I wanted to say. And this is kind of off on something else, but it's still on the same thing. It's on the basic. Everything is everything. So we don't want to give in to a whole lot of just random conspiracy talk. But there are conspiracies. There are conspiracies. But they're not where we often think they are. The greatest conspiracy is the ploy and attempt to divert attention. I was going to do this in a separate video, but I'm going to show you how this all ties in. I was going to do a video called The Next Viral YouTuber, because I've been looking at this phenomenon. This YouTube phenomenon is amazing. Now, you have a lot of people, once they get their channels up to a certain amount of subscribers and views and so forth, then they start positioning themselves as the expert on how to grow your YouTube channel. You need to do this and do that. You need to don't spam people's comment section, and you need to interact with people when they come in, and post good thought-provoking questions, and add to the all these things you need to do. One of the other things you need to do is consistently post videos. Now, someone may argue that this is nothing conspiratorial right here, but I beg to differ. Because if you want to look at a conspiracy, now this is where you need to, subtle things like this, you have to look at them. Because sometimes we are a part of the greater conspiracies and don't know it. And this still ties into the Cabalistic why. Okay? Now, for you to so-called maintain your audience, you need to constantly post, right? Okay. Now, if I'm doing videos on a cat jumping up on the couch and scratching and, eating food, and somebody running down the street and farting and, and da-da-da. If I'm doing videos like that, it's easy. But if you're doing things that are dealing with critical thinking, and you are conveying transformations that are going on within you, how can you post a video every damn day? If it's transformative, how can I have something to say all the time? When do I have time to contemplate, think about things, and ask a why question? There's a conspiracy against why. Why? Why the hell am I doing this? Why am I involved in this? Why? You can't ask that question when you always, oh, let me post this, let me post. Okay, so the pressure is on the person trying to become the next viral YouTuber, and then look at the pressure on the audience. The pressure is, you look on your feed and there's constantly something popping up. And we can get on here and we can think that we are working against the beast and working against the man, and we doing this and doing that. But to an extent, some of us more than others, we're just attention peddlers. We're peddling places, and I'm only saying we to not be divisive. Because I wouldn't be having this conversation. It's like the antithesis of what, if having this conversation is the antithesis of actually trying to get attention. It is what it is. This is an observation. We are attention peddlers. Okay? I want to constantly feed your need for something new. So I got to keep giving you something exotic, something that sounds different, something far out, something to try to separate myself from the rest. You know what separates you actually, though, is your essence, your isness. If if you never said another word, your isness separates you. So there is a quiet attack on the ability to ask why of all of your actions, all of your motivations. Why? Why? If I didn't have the person to come on and guide every step of my life for me, and I didn't have da 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 da, and all these self-proclaimed gurus and self-proclaimed whatever, because you got even this, you even have to trust. Basically, that somebody is what they say they are. For you to then accept that, then this information lines up. Just look at it, man. This is the beast. This is the beast. We own the beast right now. This is it. The attention hustle. I am amazed. I heard something the other day amazed me. But I ain't even going to go there. It'll all come out in the wash. It'll come out in the wash. But people say things and show their hand, but who am I to police what anybody? Who cares? For those who can see things, they can see it. And those who can't, then they're supposed to get fleeced, So I ain't even going to go there. But I can make observations without condemning. I can make observations in something, an observation of something that I too participate in. But see, I have to manage my participation. It's just like every now and then I drink me some alcohol. Every now and then I eat some snacks that I know has no nutritional value. But I'm going to manage how much of that I'll allow to seep into my everyday routine. Is it going to become my habit to eat Doritos, 3-4 times a day? Is that going to be, so we all are ingesting some form of sewage. You're breathing sewage. Sometimes you're spewing sewage. You're taking in some. So we're not going to say that there's no such thing as being completely pure and immune down here. You're going to have to deal with some level of sewage. But it helps, though, to be able to step aside and observe and catch yourself, and really step back and analyze. After those eclipses came and a few things happened that I've talked about, I found myself really looking at myself more and looking at other things. And some things I'm not going to go completely in depth on, but I'm telling you, if I did, it upset a lot of people. It upset a lot of people because I tell you, man, it's so crystal clear just looking at things. Just looking at things. I tell you, I will say this. Let me give you an example of attention to take you away from the Cabalistic why in the middle, the center pillar. For sure, Brother Williams. Observation is very necessary at all times. You have people going back and forth about the Colin Kaepernick thing about Nike and so forth, which does not matter one iota in my world. And that's just my world. I could care less. But I will tell you this, though. I always say this. Information is hoarded. It is then flooded, distorted, and then embellished. The concept of being enlightened, and I'm definitely not the first to say this, has been for sure commercialized. There's no martyrdom You can't play that game anymore about I'm looking to be a martyr and I'm doing this for the people. That game is gone. It's just like hip hop. You know, that whole martyr mentality is gone. So you can't even try to play that card anymore that I'm doing this for the people. I'm doing this for the... And they're showing you the joke of it with Colin Kaepernick. And it's an example of take you off your why. Your why is the center point of everything. Why am I doing this? Why does it matter to me? And then it feeds all the other questions. What, how, when, all those other things. But that whole concept of that, Colin Kaepernick is an example of just attention. Moving attention here and there, just like moving stocks. It does not matter. There are no martyrs. There are no divine beings who have come to sacrifice themselves on the cross for you or I. But part of the attention currency is to even have that conversation about whether this person is a martyr, or this one is real, or this. It doesn't even matter. What matters is I've got you off your square now. I've got you off your midpoint. This is the reality we live in. My daddy said before he died, he said it's a facade. It's a facade. It's a facade. Everybody's looking to ingratiate themselves. And I'm not necessarily saying it's wrong. That's the world we live in. What I do have a problem with, though, and this is not to get into my judgmental bag, it's just along the lines of keeping it real. There are consequences for misrepresenting things. There are consequences for selling oceanfront property in Idaho. Karma is real. Okay, well, no, karma is real. And it's not so much from a moral standpoint, it's just basic physics. It is encased in the Kabbalion, the law of cause and effect. A tick, that's going to be a talk. I ebb, that's going to be a flow. I go down, that's going to be a up. So, misrepresenting things, when you know, I'm just trying to pay this light bill. I'm just trying to pay this car note. Or, I really just don't want to work. I don't want to work. But if I represent it as I have a calling to be a martyr, that's misrepresentation. But again, that's not for me to police. But I do have my own personal opinions on things of that nature. We're in the age of Aquarius, the age of truth. And the truth comes back to the center pillar. The center pillar is firm, is fixed, steadfast. Belief can be left or right, up or down, ebb or flow. I need to get you in the attention currency. I need to get you to believe that I am what I say I am. I need you to believe it. Because when I get you to believe, then I can then present my new hustle. I need to convince you that I want to fulfill the void that's left by your father leaving out. I need to convince you that I care about filling the void that's left by your hurt, broken relationship with your mother, your broken relationship with your man or your woman, your broken relationship with your soul. I need to help. I need to convince you that my every waking moment is about trying to help you fix that. That's Piscean. See, same thing with, we sit back and talk about the church and talk about religions and so forth. It's the same game. I have to sell you on a belief in what I'm saying. And then when I do that, I then have your momentum lean in a certain way, and then I can throw something in. Man, it's if I can hold your attention long enough and keep seeding in certain things, this is real deal mind programming. And some of the worst mind programming goes on amongst those who argue that they are working, on behalf of whomever. Inside job. And I'm still on point here. I'm still on the point of the middle pillar. The why. The why. So I'm all over the place. But you know how it go. Let's see what's going on in the chat. The whole reality is about paying attention to it. That's Mara. If you stop for a second, you shift reality. Indeed, what they eat don't make you shit. No point intended. Stay on your 10 and stand on your square for show. Even the martyr is seeking attention for their cause they hold over their life. Super facts. I used to have an aspiration of, I've always enjoyed talking to people from this standpoint. I don't always enjoy talking to people just everyday, frivolous, small talk. I'm not real fond of small talk. I like to, I like to have purpose in my conversation, but I like interactions that I deem as having some purpose to them. And I guess I enjoy what appears to be teaching. So when I kind of got into, YouTube, I'm always late to everything. YouTube was already, on and popping. I'm late. I was late to Facebook when I was on there, late to MySpace, late to everything. And there's beauty in that. Gives me time to analyze, and I don't be so. But either way, once I got into YouTube and I started getting into this type of information, I wanted to be the YouTube scholar who, got on, and I had these thousands of people, this and that, and I watched the videos on how you need to grow your channel and all this and that, and because my thing is I just want to teach, and this can become, I want my job to be I wake up and I teach and and from the Western paradigm of goal setting, and goal setting is good at times, but again, if your goals need to be grounded on your why. See, why? Everything I say to you, I'm held to it too. So you got to go back to your why. Okay? So I had this idea, and things don't move when the way you always think they should move. One thing we a lot of times isn't brought up in so-called whatever this we want to call this, in this type of teaching, is that you don't have control over everything. You don't. I don't care how much you think you know. or how much you think you can do, you never have complete control over this existence, or else it would have been pointless. It would have been pointless to come to this if you could just gain complete control. That's the whole point. Everybody's looking for the cliff notes. There ain't no cliff notes. Some shit you just gonna have to experience. You're gonna have to go through it. Where the hell was I going with that? Shit. Fuck. Where was I going with that? Let me read it. People are looking for your cameraman to. YouTube runs on personas. Okay, so that's the basic gist of it. Yeah. We're talking about the facade. But where I was gonna go somewhere with that though. Oh yeah, I was talking about myself on how. Okay, so you go back and analyze. This is why I'm so much on the mundane. When it sounds like I'm taking shots, please believe I am taking shots, but I also line the target up on myself. You know, it's like I'm stepping on my toes as well as whomever's toes might get stepped on, and who cares? But my shoes are getting damaged too, because these are things that I had to realize. You know, I had to realize that it doesn't. And like I said, my wife said to me that time, "What if the stuff you learn? What if it's not necessarily to teach other people? It's for those who are closest to you." And really just boils down to my wife and my children. And you know, I couldn't stomach that comment at that time, because an aspect of my ego, wanted to be, you know, seen as the teacher of teachers, you know, and thought that I was really, you know, hitting hard, da 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 da. But let me give you an example of how things work. To give you to explain this. This brother Williams sent me a gift, a monetary gift, and sent me a book unsolicited. I don't get on here and I don't remind everybody that you can donate and you can become this, and you know, it's beautiful. I feel no pressure to ask you for shit, because I have accepted, and this is hard for me, for a person who likes to control everything. And it comes back to the wisdom of the baby. Your babies will teach you you cannot control every damn thing, because you got to roll with the punches with especially young babies, little babies, children, period. Stuff ain't gonna line up the way you intended all the time. Your schedule ain't gonna be on point. You have to learn how to adjust. So I gave in to the idea of, I don't care about growing no damn YouTube channel. I don't care. I don't care about trying to build my audience. I don't care about getting paid off this shit. That's why none of my videos are monetized, so I can keep some control over my content. And I know I'm dealing with the beast. But see, once again, I control how much, and I can tweak how much of that beast is controlling me. So here's the deal. Man, you can talk all that revolutionary and this, da, 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 da. When them people start changing up them dollars with them ads on YouTube, man, shit. Man, that's when the rubber started hitting the road right there. When they changed up that money, see, I've never been dependent on it. Never. Never been dependent on it. That's a beautiful thing with struggling. If you can struggle through a point in your life and continue kicking, you know how independent that makes you? Once again, what's the center pillar of Kabbalah? It is the reason and the will. The reason is to build your will, so that I have less lack by not looking for shit, not expecting. I don't expect nobody, I don't expect nobody to, oh, look at what I've done for you. You ought to be donating. I have no expectation of nothing. Nothing. I'm going to use the talents that I have and work them. And see, by taking your attention always all over the place, I'm coming back home now. See, I'm always on point. Coming back home now. By always sending your attention here, there, da. And see, when you get bogged down with the what? Oh, what I'm going to do? What I'm going to do for some money? What we going to do for some money? What we going to da. Go back to your why. Ground yourself. We're in the grounding period. Virgo, grounding period. Go back to your why, your midpoint. Revisit that. But see, always sending everybody's attention over here, over there, and you become a slave of somebody else or some system by not coming back and grounding yourself. A way to ground yourself, and I'm on a strictly mundane level, but I'm still kicking it on the magnificent level. But I'm going to give you something mundane. You're struggling financially. That's a great time to sit and look at yourself. You can look at, there ain't no better medicine to learn how you wasted money than to be broke. There's no better medicine to learn how irresponsible you were with credit until you don't have no credit. And get into something where it's like, damn, if I had some credit. Hashtag super facts right here. There is nothing like, when you find yourself facing obstacles, it's a great time to self-reflect. And not just to be judgmental, but you'll be amazed at what you find that you can do. For me, giving up on the desire to become the next viral YouTuber gave me the opportunity to focus on other gifts. I don't give a damn about teaching nobody. Now I'm going to do my thing. And those who come, shit, do whatever. You can come and we'll get down and so forth. But I ain't soliciting. And what it does is it frees you. It frees you. And opens up all these other avenues that you've been ignoring. Because you have fixed it in your mind that it's got to be this way. Without visiting your why. I guess a lot to a great degree, the things I talk about have become therapeutic for me, and they've been like a journal for me to note my progression. A journal for me to go back and examine myself, like, I can see where you transitioned from April to May. Oh, okay. And go back and think about what was going on in June, what was going on in July, and what was I saying? What was going on in August? And man, this is beautiful. It's beautiful to observe. Once you start observing yourself more, you are going through initiations over and over and over. I mean, they start speeding up like bam, 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 because you are now conscious of it. But it takes you being open-minded to be able to step out and really look at yourself. Really look at yourself. I don't care how spiritual you are. When your tires blow out and you don't have the money and you don't have credit to where you can go to Discount Tire and get you a Discount Tire card and get them tires on credit and then pay. Man, there is no spiritual practice that is going to overcome that shit. Don't fool yourself. Don't fool yourself and see that's getting so far off the center point, you become an idiot. And I'm talking about me, yours truly. I used to be that. See, what I have been quietly doing is working on mundane things. Working on mundane things. Getting my house in order. Literally and figuratively. Getting my house in order. My cousin used to tell me, he said, none of these great teachers, these sages, were worried about where their next meal was going to come from. They knew that they could eat. And that is what freed them to have these experiences that they could convey. Now here's the problem that like YouTube has created. It like any other capitalistic system gives you a few LeBron James, a few Kobe's, a few Shaqs, a few Denzels, and then it tells you you too can be Shaq, and you might spend a great portion of your existence trying to become Shaq. But they don't show you a lot of the plumbers and the electricians and, you know, something, well, you know, hey, you ain't hitting home runs, but you're hitting some RBIs. So, even in the realm of enlightenment, you get certain people that get out and you're like, man, I want to become the next Ralph Smart, or I want to become the next so-and-so. And you get locked into that paradigm of trying to become this. And what you do is, and it might not even be trying to mimic that person as far as being a guru, but trying to, whatever, mimic this lifestyle that's being presented as the way. When the only way is you. You are the Tao. The way is the center pillar. Find your, and I know I'm all over the place here. This is man, this is just, I'm just letting it go. I don't, you know, I'm not even keeping tally of what the last, I'm just going. Because I don't think it needs to be said, I know it needs to be said. Even if only one person is really getting what I'm saying, I know it needs to be said. We're in the era of the facade, of the illusion. And your work, on whatever level you want to consider it, is to find what your reality is. That's the why. That's the Cabalistic why. What's your reality? And within that reality, you will build your will, your power. And that's all I got. I give them the heart. Oh yeah, right on, Brother Williams. I appreciate that, brother. He says, I see your good intentions. I appreciate that. Yoel says, I think it's the martial arts. You have star schools and the guy or gal would, they all teach in their way, but for the true wisdom, it's the guy in the woods. Right on. This technology shit is a product of our own creation. Indeed, we are the battery driving it. Indeed. And the movie Upgrade was a deterrent against tech, and Elysium showed the so-called enemy technology. I'm on my Jack's Mortal Kombat. What's up, Christian? Yeah, you can tunnel your perspective. It's that way in every age. You can be the last star of fame, and that way you miss the star. You can always be those to you. Exactly. Right on, Michael. You're welcome, brother. Let me tell you something real quick. Along the lines of what you're saying there, Yoel, chasing that star. I think I told this story before. I know I have. My brother Tony, when we used to throw the ball in the front yard when I was growing up, you couldn't play catch with him because he would throw the ball so hard he'll score. You know, you have to keep backing up, and it don't matter how far you back up, he'll still warm your hands up. And you know, it'd be to the point where it'd be about ready to fight. Cause you know, he sometimes, you know, Tony's a trickster. He was doing the shit on purpose, but it didn't take much effort for him. His arm was so strong. My daddy always told Tony that baseball was his sport. He said, Tony, football is not your sport. Track is not your sport. Reggie's the football player. Reggie's the sprinter. That was Reggie's thing. Tony trying to follow behind Reggie, you know, and he never pursued baseball. Tony was a natural shortstop. He was quick enough to scoop up the ball, and he had the arm. He can throw anywhere in the stadium. The baseball stand, not just around the diamond, but anywhere in there, Tony could throw the ball and be on the deadline. That's how strong his arm was. But Tony was chasing Reggie. That's what, I'm glad you brought that up, Yoel, because that's a perfect example of what you're saying. It's that aspect of your ego can give you an idea of what your end goal is when it is not attached to the why. The why is like the umbilical cord, okay? When it's not attached to that, and you're doing things, and sometimes you may even think you know why you're doing it, but you really, it's coming from, like Christian said, it's a form of technology. But is it the real core processor? Is it the hard drive really producing this, or is it something that's mimicking it? So Tony was not really following his own path. He was trying to follow Reggie's. Reggie was the oldest, so he was just doing what he was doing. Reggie could run fast. Reggie can't dribble a basketball to save, not his life, but our mama's life. That nigga can't hit a layup. If the basketball was at his ankles, he couldn't hit a layup. He was a running back and a sprinter. Tony was a baseball player. Me, I came out as the big nigga, so I already knew. I said, I'm not about to beat no motherfucker in no race. Excuse me, I'm cussing again. I'm not about to outrun no motherfucker. I don't want to play no damn baseball. I knew it was like, I'm charting my own path. You know, like I said, it's good to be late. See, I'm one of the last children, so I'm late. So I got a chance to observe. But finding your midpoint is the key, y'all. And it's not something definable. It's something that can only be defined in your life. But I tell you a good way to kind of see. Sometimes when shit is going bad, it's not because, oh, I'm just experiencing this, and it's just because life is a trash can and I can't wait to get from down here, and I'm trying to get. No, it's something that you need to address within this little mundane reality. It's something you need to address. And a secret is in addressing the things that maybe we think we have surpassed. We can actually go to the places that we actually want to go. Because what's one of the secrets to flying? If you look at a plane, the plane has to be light enough to get lift. And if I'm constantly bogged down by the fetters, as they call them in Greek philosophy, or the chains, then I'm trying to fly and I keep putting extra fuel and this and that, but I got too many things holding the airplane down. Too much luggage, too much baggage. So if I go and deal with the simpler things, I have a greater opportunity to explore the more magnificent. This is Brother Jamal, mastersofthecosmos.com. Thank you for joining in on this rant all over the place. But as always, stay down until you get up. And when you get up, stay down. Peace.